Hello.
It worked.
It
Yeah.
worked.
Great.
This is Boo. Yeah, he hangs
I
out
will.
with me all the time. Can I say hi?
How are you? How have the last few days and weeks been for you?
I'm good. I'm hanging in there just as much as anybody can, I think, during this period. It's really scary and it's stressful. There's a lot that's going on, and like between family life and the world and da 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 da, it's a lot to juggle and it's really hard. So I'm just doing the best I can, taking it a day at a time, but things are okay. I mean, everything considered, I feel really thankful to be with my family and to hang out with them and, have my cat here with me too.
Oh,
He's right here.
great. That's
Like,
that's the first time we have an animal on Instagram Live.
oh my God, he's the chillest cat ever. This is Boo. Yeah, he
I
hangs out
will.
with me all the time. Can I say hi?
You said you're with your family, so that means you're in LA right now, aren't you?
I'm in Oakland, California. So I'm from Oakland originally, but I just recently, I moved to New York, and then with this whole thing happening, I flew back here as soon as I could, just so I could be with my parents. Yeah.
Let's talk about how you spend the last few days and weeks in isolation. Do you have like a certain routine right now that makes it possible to keep like something like a daily life?
A little bit. I mean, I've found kind of other ways of implementing routine to make it feel like it has a more regular work schedule, even though every day is very much the same. You wake up and you're just like doing work and emails and da 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 da. For me, the most helpful part has been streaming for people, actually. So, like playing video games 3 times a week for 4 hours actually seems really silly, but it's been really helpful for me because I think it gives me the space to feel like I'm distracting people to whatever sort of degree they need to be distracted to, because of the world being so hectic. And for me too, it's a really nice opportunity to be able to sit down and connect with my audience and my listeners and, play games with them and feel like there's some sort of human interaction, because I think that's removed when we're in quarantine and self-isolating, and we can feel so distant too. Yeah.
I wanted to talk with you about that because I
Yeah.
saw on Twitter that you are really into Animal Crossing,
Yeah.
and you like stream that on Twitch a lot.
Yes.
Well, I have to admit, I barely know anything about that game. It's, I guess, obviously about animals, but what would you say to make me want to play this game?
Honestly, it's a really hard game to make other people want to play if I try and explain it. Like, in the base understanding of what it is, it makes no sense. So if I could explain it to my best of my ability, you are the only human on an island of animals that you're like essentially the mayor in a lot of the past games of this version of the game. But in this one, you're like the representative of the island, the deserted island you are now inhabiting with a bunch of other animals. And you're supposed to make it feel like a town. So you're like responsible for building things, for crafting things, and like, you know, donating stuff to the museum on the island. So there's culture for it.
Can you remember the moment when you realized, okay, this pandemic is getting serious, or maybe also the moment when you as an artist like got affected by this thing?
Yeah, I think the first personal moment I really understood it, I was in Japan actually about a month ago visiting my boyfriend, and I was supposed to stay there for a while, but at that point flights were starting to cancel in Asia because of what was happening with South Korea and China. And I had gone over to Japan anyways to see him, and I had to fly back early actually because we weren't sure if whether or not I was going to be able to get back from Asia, if I stayed any longer. And so that was really scary because I never expected it to cancel my plans that way and to feel like it was happening so fast.
Talking about something that is like a bit more positive, you still released music in the last few weeks.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
yeah, I feel really thankful that I'm still able to do my job on a day-to-day basis despite everything that's going on, and like to keep writing and have the opportunity to do that, and hopefully, as in my own project, find ways to involve other people that are now trying to find ways of working and everything with quarantine. But yeah, we released a song ironically that was about being by yourself like a couple weeks before quarantine even happened, or self-isolation. Didn't know that was gonna happen, but I feel glad that it kind of relevant. It was relevant to what was going on.
so was there a certain moment where you came up with the idea of the song saying, okay, well, I'm lonely now, but I'm cool with it. So I'm happy with it. Yet let's do this song.
Yeah, when I was writing that song, I was in Los Angeles actually to write with a bunch of other people and work with other producers, and I had been there for 11 days. And if you know me in any way, my social battery, my ability to talk with people and stuff, I can definitely turn it on and it's good to go. But I also need a lot of downtime in order for me to get my energy back at the end of the day. And I think it was like day 8 of being in LA and like talking with strangers, because sessions, most of the time you walk into a room with someone you've never met before and you sit down and you write a song with them and you talk about, your deepest, darkest secrets and the emotional trauma you faced so you can write a song about it. So it's really exhausting work. But I was working with 2 people that I love dearly, and I've worked with on a lot of songs, and they did Fever Dream with me, actually, Luke and Micah Premnath. And I was just sitting with them, and I was telling them, I was like, I'm so tired, I'm so burnt out, and I just want to lie on the ground and do nothing. And being in a room by yourself is one of the nicest feelings ever. And I stand by those statements. Like, I think that it is a really nice thing to do for yourself when you are someone that doesn't necessarily gain energy from being around other people.
Although you are someone who like is really mainly enjoying being all by herself and stuff, like I wonder if there also have been moments like in the past few days or weeks where you realize, okay, being all by myself in quarantine or in isolation can be nerve-wracking too. Also for me, who's like used to be.
Yeah, I mean, I love people and I miss people, and like even though I like being by myself, I also get really lonely. Like, being alone and loneliness are 2 very different things. And this week I was like just sitting in my bed, FaceTiming all my friends and being like, I miss you. I wish we could hang out, and like being really sad because I mean, everyone needs human connection and to some degree. And even though I might not always gain in like energy from that experience, I really miss my friends and I really miss my family. And like, I can't see my grandma who lives really close to me. I like had to go and drop off groceries for her, but stand 6 feet away from her because of isolation and distancing. And it's really difficult. I mean, I miss a lot of the people I love all the time, even when I'm not in quarantine, because I just feel like I'm moving around all the time. And now I'm in this place where I'm surrounded by loved ones, but I can't go out and see them because of distancing and isolation.
So do you have like tips or advices for like putting up with yourself right now?
Yeah, I think one of my most important things in quarantine isolation has been finding bits of routine for myself. And I think that's important in any part of your life. I know with my job, being in music, it's like you don't really get the opportunity to settle in one place for very long. So I find ways to, establish a sense of familiarity despite what my surroundings might be. So for me in quarantine, it's waking up, making breakfast for myself every single day, having a cup of tea, and sitting and like looking out my window and just taking a moment to breathe and like focus on, what else is out there in the world for a second. And I think that's important for people when you're by yourself, is to just find things that feed you emotionally when you're not able to do the normal things you might feel like you are used to in your day-to-day life outside of this.
So you are very an online person, which also might come in handy now because that's the only way we can communicate right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like you have all in all kind of the best conditions to get through this, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel crazy thankful that all of this worked out, even though it's really scary. It's like, I mean, I'm able to do my job still, and I'm also able to hopefully help people through this by providing sort of an outlet for them to express themselves or have art still, because I'm still able to make it. And like, I mean, it's helpful for me too. Like, the internet was always my place as a way of refuge when I was growing up, and I still am, to kind of express myself and feel like I had an outlet at the end of the day.
Are you being creative right now? Like, okay, apart from like streaming Animal Crossing, I just pick up my ukulele and just do the stuff I normally do.
Yeah, I definitely am. I mean, like, I am a creative person in my like base form, and I really need to have creative outlets in order for me to feel like I'm getting, the mental health kind of focus that I need. And that can be painting. Painting has been something. I have like an embroidery kit right to the left of me. Like, doing other sorts of creative things that aren't even necessarily music has been really helpful for me. And like, I think I'll always naturally gravitate towards doing something creative as a person. So making music has definitely been that too. I mean, I have 7 ukuleles, so I have to use them at some point, and writing music is the time that I do that. Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's just a feeling, but musicians that fit into bedroom pop like kind of address their feelings more directly maybe than musicians in other genres. Would you say that too?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's something to be said for, you know, when you start making music in your bedroom, which is I think universally the safe place for people to exist in, and you kind of have all of your deepest thoughts, and you're, you know, you cry in your bedroom or you laugh and all these different sort of things. When you write music in it, I think naturally that sort of spirit is embodied in the songs that you make. And I know for me, you know, my bedroom is always my safe place. It's kind of where it's where I relax and come to at the end of a day, and it's where I look to feel safe, and for me to make music in it. It felt like a safe environment for me to talk about mental health, even though I was putting it on the internet for thousands of people to listen to. It felt like it was just me, and just me writing these songs and sharing them with the world, and for myself mainly too at the end of the day, just so I could listen back to it and be like, ah, this is what I'm feeling, and feel like it was reflected accurately. But yeah, I mean, I think it's really connected, the idea of vulnerability and your bedroom and people and who are making their music in these spaces too.
Is it awkward then to go to a studio, to like a place you have maybe never seen before? It's like not, yeah, you've just never
It's
seen it before, and then with your very personal like lyrics and stuff, and then you have to record it or even like text some new lyrics that fit into this very personal.
It's really awkward. It's really scary, especially when it's love songs. It's like that much more awkward because they're like, "Who are you talking about? Who are you singing about?" And you're like, "I don't want to explain it." But I mean, when I was first working on my album, I was really scared because I was working with a producer who I had FaceTimed twice before we started literally living together. Yeah, Cave Town. So Cave Town produced my whole album. I love him to death. He's one of my best friends now, but it's really funny. It's like we didn't know each other when we first started working together, and we kind of had similar backgrounds, so I think that helped. But we were both really nervous going into a studio, and it was his first time being a producer for another project and my first time recording something in a studio like that. And we literally used probably the size of my bed, which is like a full-size bed, this square footage, like that amount of space. The whole studio was 2 gigantic rooms, and we stayed together like this close to one another because we were scared and nervous to touch the control panels and didn't know what we were doing. So yeah, I mean, you get really nervous when you go into an environment like that where it feels like everyone knows more than you do, and you are scared to speak up because you don't want to look stupid and you don't want to seem dumb, but you really care about your art and you want to make it as best as you possibly can. And for us, it was really nice to be able to have access to a studio so we could learn. And all the people in the studio were also really sweet and like very understanding and took time to explain stuff to us.
It was very nice having you on our channel and doing this live interview with you. It was very, very fun. Thanks for asking all the questions.
Of course, thank you for taking the time.
Yes, of course. Thank you for taking the time. Thanks for doing this with us. And most of all, stay safe.
Yes, you do. Stay sane, stay safe.
Yeah.
Be well.
You too.
All right. Bye.